everyone, welcome back to the Blind Press YouTube channel and another blind reaction video. Today we're going to be doing another Molly video, and it's her second to latest video called 5 Facts You Didn't Know About Blindness. We're going to be reacting partially to a rant that she has at the beginning and the 5 facts that she produces for us. We're going to also be talking a little bit about some of the issues I'm having with her fans over on TikTok. So this is going to be a bit of a all-round video. Hopefully we'll get through it as quickly as we can. This is a 12-minute video from Molly, so it shouldn't be too long. Without further ado, let's jump right over into this. 5 facts you didn't know about blindness. I'll link the video, original video in the description as always.
These statistics continue. Hello, welcome back to this little corner of the internet where you and I hang out, have fun. We do things like we're doing in this video where we talk disability, but we also do things like body positivity, where I talk about my journey to accept my boobs and my tits.
Okay, that's how we're starting the video. Awesome. Okay.
If you will. Such a funny word.
Molly, your mother's here.
You have boobs too.
You're my baby.
What's wrong with boobs, Neve? Don't be negative. Breast.
Is she now referring to her mother as Neve? Is that her name? This is new, I think. This is kind of an interesting dynamic.
Are a very important thing. Don't instill negativity around women's breasts into themselves.
You're right.
No, I'm bringing that up because, you know, I do fashion videos on here, I do beauty videos, I do travel videos, I do all sorts of content, I do kitten content, you know, we talk about a lot of different stuff on this channel. And, you know, years back, 6 years ago I started my channel, we've been doing this for a long time, and I used to make my content very centered, specifically only about disability. And as much as I care about disability, as much as my disability impacts every single moment of every single thing that I do every single day of my life, there's also a lot of other things I care about and am passionate about. And
of course, you're a person. But it's kind of jarring when your whole channel was centered around disability and now you like to switch it up, which is awesome. Good for you. But I think there are a lot of people wondering why you're not tying it in with your advocacy work, because that would be awesome. You realize how much you could market yourself and you would explode if you did that?
And I recently had this girl on Twitter, and I know that most people don't feel this way. I get positive feedback and comments far more than negative, but for any of you who may also feel this way, I want to explain myself. So I got this tweet from this girl basically saying that she feels like I need to take a break from YouTube because I'm running out of content ideas and I'm just making videos for clicks, like the video about my boobs or my fashion hauls and my
But that's how it seems. You've built this whole channel on being a motivational speaker for the blind, an educator to sighted people about the blind. And now you're doing stuff that has nothing to do with that. And it's your prerogative. But you have to understand, when you've marketed yourself as something and then you do something completely different, it's very confusing. And when you say that you represent a community and you want to educate the large majority of people who are not in this community about the said community, yet you don't live like most of the people in this community. You don't represent us, but you act as though you do. That's why people are upset.
Fashion reviews. And to me, she clearly doesn't understand. And you know, in fairness, she didn't watch the video titled Why I Don't Wear Push-Up Bras. And I don't think you should judge content you haven't watched.
I will give you that. You should not watch or judge content you haven't watched. However, I have watched a lot of your content, and I know of what I'm speaking because I have watched a lot of your content. So I am judging you and your content.
Because if she had watched that, she would have known it's all around body positivity, all around the judgments that women face, all about girl on girl body shaming. It's all about the bra industry as a whole, the pressure puts on women to fit certain sizes.
Why, see, and those are all great points. So why not throw in an extra few minutes and talk about the inaccessibility of most fashion websites? Like, you are missing out on a huge opportunity here, Molly. You could be one of the first blind fashion models that pushes for accessibility from fashion companies, and you could have some success in it because of your influence, because of your sub count, because of your follower count on things like Instagram. This is why people in the blind community are annoyed with you, because you say that you want to advocate and be an activist for us. You say that you want to bridge the gap. But when push comes to shove, all you really want to do is talk.
I believe that video was very important for women. I've gotten incredibly wonderful feedback on that video. It was very vulnerable and very personal for me to make that video. And anyways, so she was talking about all of this stuff and going on, and I just...
Talking about all what stuff and going on? Did you save the text of the tweet? Do you even have the tweet? Like, what was so bad about this tweet that made you want to spend 6 out of the 12 minutes of this video? Again, this was supposed to be a cold reaction. However, the audio didn't pipe through the first time I recorded it. So unfortunately, I know this video, and I'm trying not to jump ahead of myself here. But you wouldn't have spent 6 minutes out of the 12 minutes of this video talking about this person if their tweet hadn't really bothered you. Why don't you have the tweet? Why don't you have the context of why you're so upset?
I want to make sure people understand that, to me, there is purpose behind every piece of content I make. And I believe that every piece of content I make furthers my personal mission as a disabled woman. And when I sit down and I make videos like this that are specifically about disability, it very clearly furthers my mission as a disabled woman. However, when I make a video like the video I just posted on Tuesday, where I do like a haul of the online shopping I've done in quarantine, in that 20-minute video, I didn't talk about my blindness once. And if you were able to watch that video and forget that I'm disabled, that furthers my mission as a disabled woman, right?
How does a video of you showing off how much money you spent further your mission as a disabled woman? Especially when most disabled people live below the poverty line. How can you claim to speak for a community who if you were to be in the shoes of most blind people with the income of most blind people, you would be devastated. And I'm not, like, you know what, you were lucky to be born into a wealthy family. Awesome, good for you. But to sit there and say that doing a video about your fashion haul furthers your mission about you being a disabled woman, I'm sorry, it doesn't. It shows that you have an interest in high-end fashion as a disabled woman. It shows that you don't really want to do anything except show off your fashion, and you don't want to use your influence to get alt text added to websites. Like Aerie is a perfect example. You've just been sponsored by Aerie. They've posted the tweet that they posted celebrating the fact that they have you as a sponsor has a picture with no alt text in it, no description, and you know what there isn't from you? Anything saying, hey, since you have me as a sponsor and you want to be an inclusive brand, you should really add alt text to your images, at least on Twitter, as a start. Like, this is something you should be using your influence to push for.
Right? So I can sit and I can tell you how normal I am, but if all I do is talk about my disability, it doesn't actually show you how normal I am.
Nobody's expecting you to sit there and harp on how blind you are. What's frustrating is that you go from specifically disability related content and saying that you want to be this repository of information. You said this on TikTok, that you wanted to be a place where people could go to ask anything and everything they wanted to know about blindness. Which is cool, which is fine. But you don't know everything and anything there is to know about blindness because you only have one type of blindness. You're only one person. And the facts that you present, you don't provide sources to. I've looked. We'll look later on in this video when we get to the facts. We'll go down and we'll check out your description box. But in other videos, I've looked. You just say stuff. You don't have anything to back it up. How are you furthering your mission as a disabled woman by doing things like that?
But if I can make content about disability and also content that has nothing to do with disability, I believe they're equally as valuable for society. When I do beauty and fashion videos, I believe it's so important that disabled voices are heard in industries like that are historically very shallow, very closed off, and definitely don't have representation of my community.
Wait. So you want disabled voices to be heard in industries like that? What about in all things? What about when disabled voices disagree with the way that you present disabled experience or blind experience? What about those disabled voices? Do you want those to be heard? Because your actions show that you don't. I've seen over the past few days since you spoke at the NFB convention, I've seen a lot of blind people tweeting at you specifically, directly expressing their displeasure. Some of them more maturely than others. And you've ignored them all. I've seen you shout out one blind YouTuber who does similar content to you. Fashion, makeup, stuff like that. The other day, I duetted your TikTok that I've been referencing about that you said you wanted to be a place where people could go to ask any and all questions about blindness so that you wouldn't have to ask your blind friend, your blind roommate, your blind coworker, and then you threw in, the blind man at Starbucks. The obvious one that you shouldn't just randomly run up to and start grilling. But your first three options were people that in all fairness and logic, you would be interacting with on a daily basis if they were a friend, a roommate, a coworker. And you very well should be asking them questions. You shouldn't be going to somebody on the internet. You should be talking to those people. Like, sure, leave the dude at Starbucks alone. But that's bad examples. And I duetted that TikTok. And then you put out a PSA. And made it sound like you just occurred to you that maybe you should put out this PSA saying how you're not all blind people and you don't represent all blind people. It just occurred to you. It just, maybe it was today's the day where you should do that. No honesty. No somebody's calling me out, somebody's saying this. I don't even care that you didn't say who I was. That's not what I care about. What I care about is that you weren't honest enough to say some blind people in the community are not happy with how I'm representing myself and representing the blind community. And I'm going to do a PSA. You weren't even honest enough to do that. You had to make it sound like you just thought of it out of the blue an hour after I duetted you. But you want disabled voices to be heard, right?
I believe it is so important to show that disabled people can add value to industries and spaces where we don't typically believe that there is value added by disabled voices.
Or if disabled voices don't agree with you, then they must not have any value, so why bother responding to them? Or at the very least, we'll just laugh and call them haters for 30 seconds in a couple of YouTube videos and dismiss it. Yeah, that's really wanting disabled voices to be heard there, Molly.
So whether you watch my content and feel that you are gaining something from it, from the angle of disability or not, when I make content, you might just see me doing a Q&A titled I Have a Boyfriend, but every single video that I sit down and create, I have intention behind. Whether it is clear to you or not, there is an intention that I put into every piece of content I create. Believe me, I am not running out of ideas. And whether those videos are for you or not, whether you enjoy those videos or not, that is up to you. You can choose to click or not, but please don't judge the style of content I create. I hope you are not.
Molly, this is YouTube. You've marketed yourself as a motivational speaker and a advocate. You have 2 million subscribers. You put out quite a lot of content into the public domain. You are well within your right to ask not to be judged before your content is consumed. You have absolutely no right to ask people not to judge you after they've consumed your content. They have a right to disagree with you or not, and they have a right to say so or not. You don't get to ask that.
Not here just for disability content, but if you are, clearly I do still make that kind of content, but I truly do believe that there is value and importance for my disability community behind every piece of content I create, and I hope my disability community sees that, and I honestly hope able-bodied people gain something from that as well.
Your disabled community. This is the thing. I've noticed this especially on TikTok. The majority of people that are coming after me, telling me I'm gatekeeping and manipulating your statements, are either sighted or they're classified as legally blind, but they still have some residual vision. It's a very fascinating dynamic. I would be very curious to see the demographics of your community, to see just how many disabled, specifically blind and low vision people follow you versus the amount of sighted people that follow you. And the amount of sighted people who feel that they have a place to tell other blind people who may have issues with you that they're wrong, that they're gatekeeping, that we should be grateful that you're there to advocate for us. No, that's not okay.
As well. So there we have it. But to that girl, here I am, giving you the disability content you wanted. So I love making videos like this, and you guys always seem to love them as well. I make a lot of content like this over on my TikTok. I post daily over there, and I do a lot of stuff like this, and people are learning a lot from it. So I thought, why do this just on TikTok? I should make a video like this here on my YouTube channel.
You should also reply to people who have issues with you instead of just replying to people who want to kiss your butt. I mean, yes, you're replying to people who are asking you questions, which is awesome. I do that. I do that too. but nobody, I've looked. I saw a couple of other comments that they weren't like awful, horrible, insulting comment, but they weren't flattering. You didn't answer them. And I'm not saying you should answer every negative comment you get, but at least answer like one or two comments from people who may have an issue with it. I've looked on your YouTube channel as well, and there have been some blind people who have tried to correct you in the comments of your videos. You won't reply to them either. What's with that?
So this is 5 crazy, shocking, weird, amazing statistics and facts you probably didn't know about blindness. There's a lot of statistics that I share often, like the fact that 90% of blind people have remaining vision, or 80% of blind Canadians are unemployed and living below poverty, which is 90% of blind people globally are living below poverty and unemployed. Depending on the statistic you look at, anywhere from 83% of disabled women to 90% of disabled women are raped and sexually assaulted.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Depending on which statistic you look at, between 83 and 90% of disabled women are raped or sexually assaulted. That is a 7% margin of error, first of all. Second of all, that is a ginormous number. And third of all, let's jump down here. We're going down here. This is the likes and dislikes. Let's jump over here past the sharing. Okay, we're in the subscription box. Okay? We're in the subscription box here. Or the description box, I apologize. Sorry, we jumped past to the comments. These are her links. You've got her Twitter, her Patreon, her Instagram, and all that. Her audiobook. And there is no sources. Yeah, there is no sources here. It's just her about me, her links to her Instagram and stuff, and her list of patrons that she thanks. So if you're going to start putting out percentages and statistics like this, you may wish to provide sources, because those are huge numbers that you're saying. That's 83 to 90% of disabled women. That's insanely high. I'm not going to pretend that there isn't a percentage of disabled women who are raped or sexually assaulted. I'm not. And I'm not going to pretend that it's probably not a sickeningly high number. But 83 to 90% with no sources to back that up? Wow. No, I'm sorry. And by the way, these top 5 stats that she's about to drop for us, there are no links for those either.
I've shared those statistics a lot. So those statistics I've plopped up front, but they are not a part of the 5 statistics that I'm sharing in this video. The 5 statistics I am sharing in this video today are statistics I have never shared here on this channel before. So buckle up and get ready. With that long intro aside, we're finally getting into it. Okay, here we go. Number 1, blind people are lucky in love. And now that I am in love, I am happy to talk about this. Before, when I wasn't in love, I was salty about it, but I am in love. It's very exciting. So 65% of blind Americans are living with a long-term partner or are married, and only 16.5% of them have gotten divorced, which is lower than the average divorce rate. So
did you bother to look into why this is a thing? First of all, 65% of blind Americans are in a long-term relationship or married. So where's your statistic citation? Where did you get that statistic from? Second of all, 16.5% divorce rate. This might be news to you, Molly, but most blind people live below the poverty line, and divorce is rather expensive, even if you do qualify for legal aid. Now, let's pretend that the divorce is amicable. You will still, and also let's pretend that there are children involved. Okay? Let's pretend the divorce is amicable and you've got children involved. You're still going to have family court questioning the blind parent. And it's going to get worse if both of you are blind. Now let's pretend the divorce is not amicable. Let's pretend the blind person is with an able-bodied person and the divorce is not amicable. And the able-bodied person says, if you leave, I'm taking the kids and I'll get full custody because you can't see. And I'm supporting you right now, so how are you going to afford an apartment? And your groceries and your bills and you know what that blind person's going to end up doing more often than not, because they have no choice? They're going to stay. So for you to glibly just sit there and go, oh yay, go us, our divorce rate is so low. Did you ever think that there might be reasons that aren't good for that? Do you ever think that maybe blind people and other disabled people may end up in relationships that are really bad for them because of the loneliness that even you have spoken of? Where they feel like nobody else will be with them because of their disability? Before I met Pincalo, I was in a 2-year relationship with somebody who beat the crap out of me. Do you know why I stayed? Because not only was I stupid enough to still be in love with her, but I had spent years before that without any friends, let alone a girlfriend or a boyfriend. Because my best friend had to move away with her family. And I spent years being followed around school, bullied and or felt sorry for, and then dumped because they didn't want to have a blind friend. So I stuck with this relationship because at least somebody wanted to talk to me. And I'm just using my experience as an anecdote, but do you ever think that maybe the divorce rate is so low because of the logistics? You just cited an incredibly high statistic for abuse of disabled women. Yet you can't translate that into why the divorce rate may be so low. Because it's not as accessible, and I don't mean like it's not financially accessible. It's not logistically accessible. You don't care about that, do you? Because it doesn't affect you. And this is what I'm talking about. This is why a lot of blind people have issues with you. Because you just spout off statistics like that without proof, without sources, and without looking into reasons as to why they might be that way. You just vomit numbers.
Essentially,
way lower?
way lower. We're more likely to get married and stay married. This bodes well for my loving relationship, Neve. Love!
And also, who says you're more likely to get married and stay married? Do you have any idea what could happen to your benefits, especially in the States, if you get married? Up here, because we were honest, and said that we were living as a common law couple, I was making like half of what a single disabled person would make. Because we told the truth. So again, where are you getting these stats?
The statistics. See? Not all things about blindness have to be negative. Okay, statistic number 2. Less than 2% of blind people use a white cane, and only about 5% of blind people use a guide dog. The others use absolutely nothing at all. Isn't that wild? Only.
So, less than 2% of blind people use a white cane. In the world? In the States? In the Western world? In what? Where is this demographic being drawn from? Same question for the guide dogs. And if it's global, did it ever occur to you that perhaps it may be that those blind people don't have access to those mobility aids? Did it occur to you that in a lot of the world, those mobility aids carry a huge stigma for the people around those blind people, not just for the blind person? And again, where are your links to back this up? Where are you getting this information from?
7% essentially of blind people use some form of an aid, a mobility aid, to help them get around.
Wow, you're one of the rare ones.
I'm one of the rare ones.
Also, out of, okay, let's say it's actually about 85% of blind people have some remaining vision. You can look this up on the NFB, the CNIB, the ABC. There's lots of different places. So let's say 15% of the blind community are either totally or legally blind. So of course most people with vision issues aren't going to be using mobility aids because they're not blind. They're low vision. They use different adaptive aids. Why are you calling low vision people blind people? And are you saying that the 7% of the 15% are the only people that use mobility aids? Because again, I cite my earlier thesis of access. But again, you didn't do any digging. You just spent 6 minutes ranting about some girl who said some things to you that nobody knows what they said. And now you're just randomly saying statistics that you can't prove. But this is how you want to educate and advocate, right? This is how you want to present blindness. You are spreading misinformation. And when you get called out, whether it be calmly or not, your mostly sighted fans descend upon the blind people to tell them how wrong they are. Do you see a problem with this yet? Anyone? Anybody?
Are we surprised me?
No.
Molly being rare? Not shocking.
You're rare within the rare community.
Mom, I continue to get even more rare as these statistics continue.
Is that why you don't talk to anybody who disagrees with you because you think you're just too rare? Did we just get a little glimpse into your ego there, Molly? And you're just passing it off as a haha?
You'll see, I keep getting more rare. Okay, number 3. Less than 10% of blind Americans read Braille. I do! One of the rare ones. And less than 10% of blind children are currently learning Braille in school. So, Braille is a dying language. That's the moral of the story, but it shouldn't be. I am really passionate about the importance of Braille. I don't think Braille is necessary to do everything, but I think Braille is a really helpful skill that blind people should be learning. If you are a blind person, learn Braille. But if
So, I agree with what she's saying about Braille. It is absolutely something a blind person should learn, especially to learn how to spell. But Braille is not a language. Please stop telling people Braille is a language, Molly. You do not speak Braille. And people are going to, well, you don't speak sign language. Well, yeah, you do. You speak it by gesturing. Sign language is not only a form of sight reading, but it is a form of conveyance. You don't call print a language. You don't call handwriting a language. Braille is not a language. Braille is a code. It is a form of translating print into a medium that blind people can read. It is not a language. Otherwise, I agree with her on this. Blind children should absolutely be taught Braille, and if you can train your fingers to become sensitive enough to read Braille as an adult, if you've gone blind as an adult, I highly suggest that you try. At least try.
Especially if you are a parent of a young blind person, please get their school to teach them Braille. Find a way to have them learn Braille. I think it is so important for literacy. That is where I believe the importance of Braille comes in, because ultimately, if we are just learning technology, if we are just learning through audio, we are not learning English properly. English is not phonetic, right? So I see a lot of blind people who have never learned Braille, who are very intelligent, but they don't understand grammar and they don't understand spelling. And that is because
And see this right here. This is where I agree with Molly. Okay? And I never said that I would not point out things that she's right about. And I will. And this is one of them. Absolutely, blind people should know how to spell and how to read. There's no question about that.
because that is what we learn through reading and writing with our eyes. And as blind people, we do that through our fingers. So I believe Braille is super important. You should click this video. I'll link it somewhere around everything you need to know about Braille in case you're interested in learning more about Braille.
And then
Okay.
you could be part of the rare community.
She didn't link it unless she linked it on screen where blind people can't find it, but that would be amusing.
Then you can be part of the Rare Club. Hashtag the Rare Club. Maybe we should change it. We're no longer the Killer Bee Club. We're just the Rare Club. By the way, that girl who tweeted me, I responded to her and she apologized and deleted the tweets. So you won't be able to find them now.
Yay! Well done.
We love a queen. who's willing
Oh
to
my
apologize
God.
and recognize that she...
Oh my lord. Oh my, I apologize for coughing. That caught me by surprise. Oh my, I missed that the first time. Oh my goodness. You're happy you got somebody to delete their tweets? Even if they felt that they had been corrected and they apologized. This is why you should have saved the text of the tweet. So now, all we know is some girl said some stuff and was going on, and that caused you to rant about your content, and now the tweets are gone, and you and your mother are happy that you got somebody to feel shameful enough to delete their tweets. I wonder if she was disabled.
misspoke without understanding. Number 4, here in America, where I'm currently living, I am Canadian, but I live in America, there is 1.3 million people who are blind or visually impaired. Globally, there are 39 million people who are blind, and there is 285 million globally who are visually impaired. And here we have it, number 5. 80% of blindness is currently curable or preventable, but people do not have access to the treatment. This one is wild to me. So I am a part of the 20% that is incurable. Once again, rare.
Okay, we get it. You're rare. Good for you. Would you like a cookie?
Are we surprised?
Bird.
Because even like I have retinitis pigmentosa, which is a rare disease, but within that, I'm tulip 1, which is one of the rarest types of a rare disease. And then on top of that, I had strabismus and nystagmus, which don't all usually come together. So, Neve, you birthed a rare being, and I'm left-handed.
Oh, yeah.
Why are you referring to her as... What happened to Mom? You used to call her Mom. I've watched enough videos to know that.
Yeah.
Rare. Anyways. So this is wild to me because so much money goes into funding research for conditions like mine that are currently not curable. All of that money could be going to curing and treating that 80% globally that's currently curable and treatable, right? And if we think about that, so if we actually put all that funding into curing and treating that 80% around the world, and they became sighted, more functioning individuals, because often in these countries, people who are blind aren't given an education and are not given opportunities, so they cannot be functioning members of society. So if we cure or treat them and allow them to receive an education,
I'd just like to pause here really quickly before I let it play too long to say, that's a very good point, Molly. So why don't you start a charity? Why don't you pick a preventable/curable eye disease to start a charity for? I already see that you're using your line of Gallup merch, the merch that features your guide dog, to donate money to Mira, the school that you attend for your guide dog training, which is good, awesome, good for you. So why not put your money where your mouth is? Start a charity. Pick an eye disease that's preventable/curable, and start donating, parts of your Patreon, parts of your merchandise to that charity. Use your influence to get other big creators to do that. Why is this not a thing? Again, all you want to do is talk. You have the influence. You have the means. You have a good idea. But all you want to do is just talk about it. You only want to advocate for things that you care about. And you can't even see when you have a good opportunity in front of you. Yet, you're a strong, independent blind woman who represents us. Sorry, guys. This is getting me a little angry.
And move forward with life to be contributing members to society, that positively impacts our global economy.
Wait a minute. Didn't you do a TEDx talk about a year ago where you said that people should stop thinking of disabled people as non-functioning members of society, and that we should start looking at disabled people as a new source of ideas and talent and entrepreneurship and all of these wonderful things? Didn't you say that? So why are you sitting here saying, well, of course, these people in third world countries, they're blind, so they're not given an education, and if they only got their sight back, they could be a functional member of society. Isn't that going against your very thesis from the TEDx talk that Scribe, Light, and I did? It's called TedExcellence, Don't Fix Disability, on Scribe Light's channel. Oh, you know what? I'll throw the link to that in the description of this video as well, just so you guys can have some reference.
Know why we're not thinking about it like this, but we're spending so much money here trying to come up with cures and treatments for incurable diseases, instead of just teaching people like myself with incurable diseases that we can learn to love ourselves and accept ourselves and live fulfilling, successful lives despite being disabled. I think this...
Wait, so trying to cure your retinitis pigmentosa when you were a kid was teaching you to hate yourself? What? What? So because the doctors couldn't save my eyes and they had to remove my eyes, I wasn't taught to love myself? I Which side of the fence are you on? You it's like you have springs on your feet and you're bouncing from one side to the other. Please pick one.
This whole situation is entirely backwards. I feel like what we should be doing is putting more emphasis on people in North America and Europe, and other spaces like that who are able to have access to technologies, are still given education and opportunity when you have a disability, and just empowering them to realize they can live successful lives with a disability and they don't need to be cured, and then taking all that money that we're pouring into curing these incurable diseases and be actually.
Did you just say that people in North America and Europe and those type of spaces should be... Wow! You just named North America, Europe, and those type of spaces. So screw the Asian and Indian and African blind people. Let's just focus on the Western. Holy shit, Molly. Here I was trying to give you credit. I thought you meant like every blind person everywhere, but you just mean the Western ones. Holy shit. Oh my god, that was blatant. Holy crap. That was amazing. Okay, we're getting long here. Let's...
treating and curing those around the world who are in countries and societies where they will never have an opportunity as a disabled person, curing and treating them and allowing them to actually be functioning members of society. Boom!
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. You think that the blind people in the West have it so good that we should just stop spending money on the incurable diseases and dump all of the money, not some of the money. We shouldn't continue to try and cure incurable diseases, but we should just take all of the money and give it to the other countries to prevent the curable and preventable diseases. So you don't ever want there to be any leaps forward in the medical field here that we could pass on there. Yeah, that's just as bad as what I thought you said earlier. But I agree that we should be funding treatment and prevention in third world countries, absolutely. But to sit here and say that we shouldn't bother to try and cure what is currently incurable right now, anywhere, is ridiculous. Because if you find a cure for something here, you could work on getting it accessible and approved over in a poorer country. You should never stop trying to find cures for the incurable. By your logic, that British doctor finding that mold should have gone, it's just mold. Like, by your logic, we wouldn't have antibiotics. By your logic, we'd still be using pig insulin for people with diabetes. Like, what? Wow. You know we could do both things, right? You don't have to just stop funding incurable disease research for blindness to fund preventative cures for blindness elsewhere. That's very short-sighted and rather virtue signaling.
No one else? Anybody else feel like this would be a way better solution?
No.
Whatever, just me apparently. Anyways, those are 5 statistics or facts.
Alright guys, and that's the end of her video. She's just saying the outro. But that's what I wanted to present to you guys today. I do apologize for the length, but I just, between this video and the TikTok ridiculousness I just, this is driving me crazy, and I can't deal with this. It's making me very angry. It's making a lot of other blind people angry. And I'm just I'm just trying to call out what I see here. Thank you for watching. Thank you to my lovely patrons. You are amazing. And thank you everybody else who watches, subscribes, everything. These videos wouldn't be possible without you, and I just thank you very much and appreciate everybody. Thank you for sticking with me to the end. This was grueling, I know, but you guys are awesome for it. Have a great day, everybody.